The Saints lost badly, but new friendships were born. And that's what really matters, right? Thursday Night Football was a stinker. It was boring. It was a bloodbath. Welcome to the new most Amazon game ever, the best boring game ever. I don't know, the Broncos won. They just man-fondled the Saints for 3.5 hours, and the only thing that took away from the win, for me, was Sean Payton going full Gran Torino on Bo Nix in the post-game because Bo didn't know who Fats Domino was?
And did I not ask you who's Fats Domino? And this guy doesn't know who Fats Domino is. Ain't that a shame? And that pissed me off, really.
I could be his mother,
he's from
that's
here.
why.
Sean's getting on him for not knowing about music from the 1950s? I swear to God, next week, Sean will try and shame Bo Nix for not being able to name his favorite flapper from the Roaring 20s.
Where opulence and extravagance were the order of the day.
I can't talk about the Broncos going to play in New Orleans without mentioning one of the most important people in New Orleans Saints history. I'm talking about kicker Will Lutz, who not only brought Malcolm Roach, Lil Jordan Humphrey, Adam Troutman, and Quan Alexander with him to Denver, he was a perfect 4 for 4 on field goals. Big nuts Lutz really dropped him on the Saints.
Right down Canal Street.
Lutz was getting booed by Saints fans, I guess, and he ultimately got the last laugh. Hell yeah. I love a kicker that talks very kicker-like shit. This was also the day the Saints decided to honor Drew Brees at halftime, and without any sarcasm, this was the only highlight from the Saints all night.
Drew Brees!
I know, you miss Drew, Saints fans. I still feel the same way about Peyton Manning. That's all right. Let's relive this Will Lutz revenge game and the new best boring whatever. If you miss Drew Brees and Peyton Manning, please subscribe here. I want to thank Underdog for sponsoring our fundraiser last night. I want to thank all of you for showing up. We have raised a total of $43,000+ for solving kids' cancer. That's insane. I was humbled last night during the live stream with all of your donations. And Underdog, of course, started it with a $10,000 donation. And I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you to you guys. Thank you to Underdog, who continues to support and sponsor this channel. I just am full of gratitude. And it doesn't even have anything to do with the Broncos kicking ass last night. That was just the cherry on top. We made a difference. Fuck yes. Yes! So we had Fats Domino.
Guy didn't know who he was. So being around young people keeps you young and pissed off.
A few weeks ago, Sean Payton called Bo Nix Ferris Bueller.
Ferris Bueller remarked. Have you ever seen that movie?
I watched that movie one time. It was on the plane at some point.
A reference he barely understood. I think Sean should have gone back even further because I think the perfect movie character comparison for Bo Nix is Steve McQueen from The Great Escape.
250
rushing yards.
Yeah. You're crazy.
This man escapes sacks as well as any quarterback I've seen in any time. Unfortunately, he occasionally also escapes clean pockets, but he'll work on that. Now, every week in my Winners and Losers episode, where I recap all of Sunday's football games, I present the Blop 10 plays of the week. And the sloppiest, bloppiest thing from this game was Spencer Rattler. In this series, an unfortunate fumbles, which would definitely be a contender for the Blop of the Week. This, of course, would have been a scoop and score by linebacker Cody Barton, but it was called back due to a penalty. And without any sarcasm, this was the only real Saints highlight from the night.
Drew Brees!
Now, thank God football games last more than the opening drive, right, guys? Jesus, fuck. Bo Nix missed a layup on the first series. We know. We had an instant boverthrow. And you had Bill Simmons on Twitter taking a large dump on all of us Bo-leavers. Bill Simmons, one of the most successful sports media people alive, calling this the funniest pass of the last decade? Bill! Do you not remember this pass? from your team, the Patriots? Yes, Bo Nix has the distinct honor of missing 2 open receivers on the same play. An ugly underthrow a few plays later to kill a drive, but NFL quarterbacks simply do not prepare to face defenses so shitty that they have 2 open guys at the same time. This is actually one of the hardest throws in the NFL to make. And that's not even the funniest pass this season, Bill. I'm not sure what's going to happen to the ringer when Bill learns about Will Levis. He might have, whatever's happening to me right now, aneurysm, that's right. Now that throw by Bo did sting because just a few seconds later, Spencer Rattler rolled out and just his second start looked more composed, more accurate than Bo Nix. But that was the last time any good plays happened for the Saints. And I'm not being hyperbolic. So again, here's Drew Brees getting 100 at halftime, just so the Saints fans have something to enjoy today. Sean Payton pulled Nix aside and asked him if he'd ever seen vertigo, because some of those passes in the first quarter were making him dizzy. Bo Nix was fine after that Bover throw. In fact, he got a little lucky when Tyrann Mathieu, the honey badger, dropped this throw that was gifted to him. More like the jelly badger. And the jelly isn't raspberry, it's KY, you buttery hand-id badger. Look, the Broncos offense worked in this game, and it broke down the Saints defense because they ran the ball very well. Last week, Javonte Williams was ridiculed for fumbling. I was questioning whether or not he still had it. The Buccaneers had put up 277 yards on the Saints just 4 days ago, and Javonte is earning my Big Dick Player Award by producing his first multi-touchdown game of his career. 88 rushing yards for the punishing back. Denver racked up 225 ground and pound yards. Yes, they were pounding a Saints defense that couldn't stop the run even if Drew Brees' life depended on it. Yes, they lost 2 key corners in this game as well, but the Broncos were averaging just $119 running the ball this season. They hit highs in yards before contact, yards after contact, and without any sarcasm, again, this was the only highlight for the Saints all night. And then Sean Payton pulled Bo Nix aside to ask him if he'd ever seen the arrival of a train, because that's what Javonte Williams looked like running behind the Broncos' offensive line against the Saints. And like a lot of people watching that movie, the Saints defense was trying to get out of the way. Bo Nix added 75 rushing yards. He is proving to be incredibly elusive in the pocket, and I will take wins even if Bo has to have triple goose eggs in the box score for touchdowns, interceptions, and sacks. Sean Payton pulled Bo Nix aside and asked him if he'd ever seen Cool Hand Luke, because I haven't seen anyone put down more eggs since Paul Newman in that movie. And when Denver gets a delay of game penalty because Sean Payton's play calls are too long,
what we've got here is failure to communicate.
Cool Hand Luke. That's right. Winning names of the last decade, Bill, the Saints. Their defense has Willie Gay Jr., or as he's affectionately known here, homosexual penis in my father's name. They have Anferny Orgy and Kool-Aid McKinstry, who played in high school with Bo Nix. Plus, their tiny kicker's name, Blake Groupie. You've got a groupie at a gay orgy drinking God only knows what in the Kool-Aid? If that's not what the opening statement is in the trial for Diddy, then I don't know what it will be.
Are you looking for the pervert?
Yeah.
He went that way.
No? Another 80s movie you never heard of? How injured were the New Orleans Saints in this game? Very. Derek Carr was in the body shop having his crankshaft lubed. Number 1 receiver, Olave, out with a concussion, which balanced out Pat Surtain being out also with a concussion. Rashid Shaheed out for the season. Tackle Ryan Ramczyk, been on the PUP list. Guard Caesar playing in the Caesar Dome, not in the game. No Will Harris in their secondary. And we watched Adebo Paulson break his femur trying to tackle Javonte Williams. Just horrendous luck for the Saints over the last 3 weeks. Look at this sick fuck, Derek Carr, clapping for his team's injuries. Get it together, Derek. Now, I've teased about this being the Saints' only highlight from the game. I was actually wrong because these mother lickers call the timeout right before halftime.
To take another timeout, I guess. All right.
just to kneel the ball.
It's the only time I've ever seen a kneel down follows.
And then they'll get booed off the field.
Yeah, whatever.
You stopped the clock just to kneel the ball, New Orleans? Russell Wilson was here in Denver for 2 full years, and he didn't waste that much of our time. Vance Joseph continues to have this defense humming. Humming to the tune of Fats Domino, of course.
I found my thrill.
The Broncos sacked Spencer Rattler 6 times in this game. Nick Bonito is on a 5-game sack streak. It really is Casa Bonito. The Broncos had 2 takeaways, even though one was called back because of a penalty, and their run defense was smothering. Alvin Kamara was pummeled over and over and over again, like the defense beat the piss out of Kamara. And now he knows how that guy he beat up a few years ago felt. Also, Alvin, if this was your audition to be traded to the Broncos, it was not good. I'll still take it, but it was not good. And I know, it's a ragtag offensive line for the Saints, but the Broncos weren't just getting pressure. They were getting to Rattler in under 2.5 seconds. Not even Mr. Quick Release himself, Philly Rivers, can throw his seed in 2.5 seconds. Ain't nobody getting pregnant in 2.5 seconds. Now, Sean Payton pulled Bo Nix aside one last time to ask him if he had ever seen Amadeus, a film about jealousy and a genius.
Here again was the very voice of God at an absolute beauty.
Saying, you know, Bo, only a genius like me, a genius many people are jealous of, could turn Cody Barton into a star. Oh, what about Nope, only me, Sean Payton, the genius. When Denver lost Alex Singleton with a torn ACL in Week 3, we started to have a little concern about what this defense might look like without its emotional leader. It turns out emotion overrated. Cody Barton ended the game with 8 combined tackles, a sack, and a fumble recovery for a touchdown. The former Seahawk is getting love in Seahawks blogs today, and they crucified that man 2 years ago. But he was oh so close to having one of the best defensive performances we've ever seen by a Broncos linebacker. If he had caught that pick in the first quarter, and if his scoop and score touchdown in the second quarter wasn't negated by an offsides penalty, he would have had 2 touchdowns, a sack, an interception, and a fumble recovery. That's okay though, he'll have to settle for AFC Defensive Player of the Week. Aww. I also want to give a shout out for defensive tackle Malcolm Roach, who was somehow playing 15 yards deep in coverage and was a step away from getting an interception. That would have been an incredible revenge job by him. Now, Sean Payton has vanquished every single team in the NFL, becoming the 8th head coach to do that alongside Bill Belichick, Bill Parcells, Mike Holmgren, Andy Reid, Tony Dungy, Mike Shanahan, and John Fox, believe it or not. Although Sean only had 1 victory against Denver in 4 chances, and that was the Kendall Hinton game. So he might have gotten a little fortune there. The Broncos started this season 0-2. The Saints 2-0. And Derek Carr was playing so well for the Saints, he was literally lowering the murder rate in New Orleans. Remember that from the beginning of the season? Well, Garrett Bowles is officially bringing it back up. I now remember why the 49ers didn't keep Chase Young. Garrett Bowles also didn't allow a single quarterback pressure all night. But more importantly, everyone gets the revenge dagger in this game. Will Lutz, revenge dagger. Malcolm Roach, revenge dagger. Lil Hump, hell, even Quan Alexander. You all get the revenge dagger. You all get the revenge dagger. In all seriousness, I do want to congratulate the big man, the former Saint and current Broncos leader, Will Lutz, for going into New Orleans and getting a big win against the franchise that gave him everything, including Drew Brees. God bless Drew Brees. Bo Nix.
All right, let's be honest. Enough of the fucking pleasantries.
Ain't that a shame? Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. If you don't subscribe, YouTube will come for my wiener. They'll chop off my wiener. Please subscribe so I can keep my wiener. Please.